So guys, yes, you read it right. In 3 months, I got my Folia Rosa, which is basically something that is mandatory for you to drive or to learn how to drive in the beginning. So usually what happens is that in Italy, you need to pass your theory exam, which consists of 30 questions, and you have 20 minutes to solve these questions. And then after that, if you make 3 errors, you can move on to the next part. So, which is the practical driving test. Initially, I found it really difficult because apparently there are 7,000 questions, but I had to learn how to drive. So, you need to have this will to want to drive because it's like provides you independency. Also, it helps like you find jobs and it opens a door to a lot of things. Anyways, I'll show you how I studied. These are the two channels which I would recommend. One is Re di Patente, and the other one was, if I'm not wrong, it's called Guidare Oggi by Andrea. So these are the two channels which I would recommend only if you have difficulties in certain topics, because if you start from scratch and keep watching these channels, it will be time consuming because some questions are super simple, like, okay, you need to let the pedestrian pass if they're walking. But what I found that even if there were simple questions, the way they frame it, like the Italian they used, can be a bit tough. So what you do is that you open a quiz patente, which is basically a website where they have like topics and there are various questions related to those topics. You go and you see what terms you don't understand. For instance, sorpasso basically means overtaking, and this is what I didn't know in the beginning when I was studying for it. So I made a OneNote and then I wrote all these difficult words there. I also wrote the difficult questions there so I could revise it. Once I have done all those 7,000 questions, I went back to revise it. But these 7,000 questions, it seems a lot, but trust me, if you're consistent, it is not a lot. You just have to take the hard questions, put it on one side and see how it goes. Then also I found words like dogana, which basically means customs, or for example, like there was something known as ganache, which basically means that they will tow your car if you park it in the wrong place. So these are some terms which I have never come across in my daily life that I had to know. Anyways, moving on, once this part is done, there are also websites, one of which is called, if I'm not wrong, it is called Patente di Categoria. Like it's basically like patente.it, that is what it's called. And if you go to that website, you have everything. For example, you have the theory part, you also have tricks, which is basically called trucchi. And you can see that in those parts, if you have any difficult questions, you can also see there, and everything is basically straightforward. After that, once you do 2 errors or less than 2 errors, you go and give this exam, because of course, if you fail this exam, you need to reapply. I mean, you have one more chance, but why risk it? Since you can do like 2 times you can fail, and after that you have to redo the process. Also for the practical part, if you fail 3 times, you need to reapply for everything. So be careful, and if you're not prepared, I wouldn't recommend you to go for it. And yes, it does require consistency, as I said again, and this is the proof. Like I have been like displaying my scores there and my Folia Rosa, because this is how I learned, and I would recommend you guys to study the same way as well. So good luck.